Our third team is ready to kick off. Team H2-4-All includes Yuko Fukuma, Jovan Kalcevski, Jessica Kitchen, Mo Timraz, and William Dye. And together, they tackle the challenge area around hydrogen energy. William, take it away.
Thanks, Nick. And good evening, all. I'm absolutely humbled to be here today representing our organization, H2-4-All. I'm joined by my colleagues from all over the globe. We've got Jess from Perth, Mo, Jovan, and myself. We're from Melbourne, and we're even lucky enough to have Yuko joining us from Tokyo in Japan. Now, if I started talking to you about hydrogen energy, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's the second thing? Well, actually, we found out that most Aussies aren't even aware of its existence. So they're not aware of its uses, its safety, its benefits, nothing at all. And we really think that's a problem because it's a problem for Mother Earth. And because of that, it's a problem for our futures. So I invite you guys to just see our point of view for a couple of minutes today.
Hydrogen energy technology is fast becoming a critical player in global efforts to reach net zero emissions and reduce the impacts of climate change. Though most Australians are showing greater concern about climate change and a greater interest in renewable technologies, surveys by the Australian Renewable Energy Agency found 80% of people are unaware of the benefits of hydrogen technology and 13% are even fearful with concerns around safety. Participants from this survey also felt it was the government's responsibility to educate the public on new technologies. Education and targeted messaging will pave the way for major investments to go ahead, with the risk of community backlash and delays caused by misconception and misinterpretations greatly minimised. To make this a reality, a multi-platform advertising campaign led by the federal government is required. The campaign will be designed to educate the general public on what the new technology is, the opportunity it brings, and the associated environmental and safety impacts. The strategy involves broadcasting a nationwide TV and social media advertisement campaign for 5 months that captures the public's attention. This will also link to a government-funded website where reliable and trustworthy information will be presented in an easy-to-digest manner. More targeted campaigning will also equip allied industry professionals with the right facts and messaging to create everyday champions for change to positively influence community perception.
Learnings from the Japanese experience demonstrate establishing a well-coordinated collaboration between the government, industry, and public is proven to strengthen the nation's position within the global hydrogen industry.
Educating the general public is a much-needed step towards improving perception and uptake of the hydrogen technology. We need our government to execute this strategy so we can bring all Australians on this exciting journey with us.
Wow, thank you, William and team H2-4-All. Alan, really keen to hear your thoughts and feedback on this one.
I think you're muted.
What you've got there is something very, very novel, and I congratulate you for your, let me call it lateral thinking. It's actually terrific to see. Makes me feel like a failure. I've been trying to talk to the Australian public for a couple of years now about the importance of hydrogen, but you're right. The vast majority of people don't know it, and if they've heard of it, they have no real understanding of where it fits in. So it's a good idea. A couple of questions from me, then I'll ask my colleagues. When is the right time to go out with an advertising campaign? I think it's probably too early at the moment. The industry's building up. There will be a right time. I don't know what the right time is. Have you thought about timing?
Yeah, g'day Alan and all. So we have definitely thought about this, and basically through our research and our judgment, as soon as possible. And the reason for that being is that we all know that there's a hydrogen technology race happening. So whoever secures this novel industry can secure a great market with Japan, South Korea, and many of those countries that use this technology already. So we envisage this ad campaign, if it were to happen in the next year, then that'll be a great step in then the government and industry starting to spend more money on, invest more into this technology, and the public there'll be less public backlash, more acceptance through this understanding. So that's why 1 year is sort of a good time, because then that opens the next year or the next 2 years into major investment, keeping in mind that we want to be front runners in this race.
Okay, well, that leads me to my next question. So hearing what you just said, Jovan, you're saying as soon as possible, and I can understand the logic of what you just said, but sometimes linking to a special event or a special happening can make the advertising have higher impact. And so I wanted to ask Yuko from Japan, the Tokyo Olympics was billed as the Hydrogen Olympics, and there were 100 hydrogen buses, and I think that the athlete accommodation used hydrogen for heating or hydrogen for cooking, I'm not sure exactly what. How effective was the messaging of hydrogen in Tokyo?
Thank you, Alan. This is Yuko speaking. Thank you for asking this question. Yes, actually, yes, the hydrogen fuel was used for the Olympic Games. And in Tokyo, there are already, like 70 or 100 hydrogen buses already exist. And I think that this Olympic game was a great momentum for the Japanese government and especially industry companies to promote hydrogen energy in public. And it was really accelerating. But I also would like to mention that the Japanese government already promoted hydrogen energy since 2013 or 2014. So they have been continuously keeping the promotion for more than 7 or 8 years. So the government, such a long period of the government supporting and funding is really important for the country to be in a position, later position in a hydrogen industry. And
thank you. I'd like to ask Peta Ashworth for a question.
Oh, yes, thank you. Very quickly, I noted that you looked at the research and people said the government, and that's your choice of the person or the group to run the advertising. How do you think levels of trust from the Australian public or the choice of government as the key sort of arbiter of this what are your thoughts on that? Can you tell me a little bit more about how you perceive and why you chose government, I suppose, for this?
Yeah, I'll pass this one on to Mo to answer.
Hi. So basically, we strongly believe that the education role or educating the public, the role is a role for the government and the research institutions. Because we can, once the government takes the big role or the big part in educating the public, we will ensure that adequate information would be disseminated early in the development of the industry and would have an important influence in building the overall acceptance of the hydrogen industry within the public or the society.
Yeah, and I'll just finish that one off. We did see that there could be trust issues with industry trying to sell their own products, so a conflict of interest. And also, we just thought the federal government, they're in charge of major investments. They're in charge of letting the public and all the nation know what's happening next and why. And also, we believe they're the most trustworthy source to talk to the public.
Okay, we'll have to wrap at that point. Thank you so much for your presentation. Very clever thinking.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, team H2-4-All and the judges for very insightful comments.